Hi everyone, I'm Zach Reinhardt, here to review the new Dempagumi.inc record, GOGO Dempa. Dempagumi.inc is a six-piece idol group from Tokyo that is, they say they're kind of themed around Dempa music, but it doesn't really come through very strongly in their music. They generally just have very high energy, high impact, fast paced pop songs. And these guys have been, for a little while now, my favorite idol group. Their first album, Worldwide Dempa, was kind of rocky, kind of a rough start, but they had an album, WWDD, last year, and it made my top 10 list. I think it was like number 8. I really liked it. It was definitely the best idol album that came out that year. And now they've got a new album, GOGO Dempa, and they've been putting out a bunch of singles leading up to the release of this album, and I've liked every single one of them. So I've just been kind of sitting here hotly anticipating the release, and it came out, and it is fairly solid, but a little disappointing. The album kicks off with a short intro track called "GOGO Dempa," which is a kind of slightly Asian themed, like Latin funk track. It's got like a brass section, and it's like an instrumental funk track. I think it's like a minute long, and it goes into the first full track, "Ha to the Future." I absolutely love everything that's going on in this song. The rhythm section, particularly, is incredibly entertaining. It's really energetic. It's filled with just personality. The bass guitar is very present in the mix, and it just is going everywhere. It just is constantly moving. It's very busy. It's very intense. It doesn't really stick to like a bass line and just play that over and over again for each part. It really is just going all over the fretboard of the guitar. And it plays really well and locks in really tightly with the drums, which have a lot of feeling behind them, a lot of kind of punch, and there's a lot of really emotive parts to this rhythm section that has a lot of personality and just a lot of energy, and it really drives the song forward. And despite this song being very vocal focused, like pretty much all idol music is, the instrumental of this track is just so good that I'm almost just drawn away from the vocals entirely at points. The production is really good. The mix is really just perfect, but it's not like too perfect. It's not like super clean to where it takes out the soul of the instruments. It's just really solid. The chorus is catchy. It's a well-written song. The vocal antics are very kind of high energy, kind of silly, which is what you can kind of expect from a Dempagumi.inc track. And I just have no complaints. I love this song. And the affection I have for this song really kind of spills over into several of these really high energy singles that are here at the very beginning of the album. Fanfare wa Bokura no Tame ni, Start Chichauze Haru Dashine, Otsukare Summer. These are all tracks that are singles that were released before this album, but they're all very similarly high energy. They're all very catchy. They're infectious, and the instrumental is just really solid. And some of the slower tracks are almost equally as good. Akihaba Life is a very cute, kind of slower but very sweet and pretty song about Akihabara. When you're getting into that really cutesy territory, you're kind of treading on thin ice with me. I kind of lose my patience for that stuff a lot of the time. But Dempagumi.inc consistently can write these really cutesy, really sweet, kind of sugary tracks that are just really solid and really catchy and have some fun melodies. And Aki Have a Life is no exception. The bridge is one of the cutest things I've heard in music in a long time. And it just goes over really well. And it's a nice change of pace from the very quick, high energy tracks that kind of surround it. And there's also Ensemble Wate no Hirani, which is like a lounge jazz track. It's written by Cozy from Leica Came Back, which is a like acoustic singer songwriter project. And this thing is just like straight lounge jazz. It has a little bit of a swing feel when the horns come in towards the latter half of the track, but it's got like upright bass. It has just really kind of sizzling ride cymbals on the drums, and it's slow, it's soft, and it's a little bit cutesy. And it's I think my favorite track that wasn't like released as a single prior. Like this is the best B-side on here. And overall, like on this first like 2/3 of the album, like up to track 9, I'm feeling pretty good about this album. I'm really liking almost all of the songs. The only real disappointments at this like beginning 2/3 of the album is the track AQ Zombina, which is like a kind of Halloweeny themed track. It has like spooky organs and sound effects, and then it goes into like country kind of finger picked guitar, and the bridge has like this part in 3/4 that then goes into the melody from London Bridge is Falling Down. This song is a complete fucking train wreck. It's just a disaster. But it has a lot of the personality that I want from Dempagumi.inc, that I expect from Dempagumi.inc. It's just a really bad track, but it's bad to the point of entertainment, and it still has a lot of charisma behind it, which is why I rate it a lot higher than track 4, Wakusei Seika, Planet Anthem, which is a much more electronic track. It gets rid of the really organic live instrumentation that had been really kind of driving a lot of these songs, and replaces it with synths and electronic drums and incredibly just boring generic songwriting. And this song just comes off as filler. There's really no personality to it at all. There's nothing that makes it distinct as a Dempagumi.inc track. It's really kind of a dime a dozen idol track. And it is a dark, foreboding omen of things to come. Because after track 9, this is a 15-track album. It's about an hour long. And after track 9, things start to go downhill. There are 6 tracks, 10 through 15, and 2 of them are okay, and the rest, the other 4, are just boring, generic, colorless filler. There's no real other way to describe them. There's nothing that makes these songs distinct. There's like, okay, we needed a ballad, so we checked the ballad box with a really fucking generic, boring ballad. They all just sound like they could have come from really any idol group on the planet. There's nothing that makes them distinct as Dempagumi.inc tracks, and they lack all that personality and kind of silly vocal antics and just colorfulness that I usually get with Dempagumi. I'm talking about tracks like Kito, Kitone, and Kibo no Uta, and Yume Sasuashite. These are all just incredibly boring, generic tracks. The best track on this like latter third of the album is Dimdim Christmas, which is only an okay track. It's a Christmas track, and it's fairly just okay. The only real saving grace of this song is the rather entertaining brass section that has some really kind of lively brass hits, and I enjoy the track, but it's really nothing special. I listen to this thing front to back, and I can't help but feel like 5 of these songs could have been cut, and the album would have been a lot better for it. Um, it's just a little disappointing. Uh, I still like all the singles. Like tracks 1 through 9, for the most part, are really solid. There's not much to complain about except for that like one filler track at the beginning. But like 10 and past is just like you could cut at least like 4 of those tracks. And I wouldn't really be too concerned if you cut them all. I mean, I'd probably keep Dimdim Christmas just because there's a little bit of a seasons theme on this album. There's like a song about spring, then a song about summer, then there's the kind of Halloweeny song, and then there's like the Christmassy song. So there's like a little bit of conceptual thing going on there, which I can kind of appreciate. So yeah, I'm feeling a 6.5 out of 10. This album just really starts to drag on towards the end. I was feeling like maybe a 7.5 or an 8, like at the halfway point of the album, but it's just a little disappointing. There's just too much filler. The album just wastes a little bit too much of my time with boring tracks. So yeah, I'm still definitely looking forward to the next Dempagumi.inc album. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great singles, and I'm interested in seeing where they go from here still. They haven't turned me off completely yet, but I am a little disappointed. I do think this is a downgrade from their last album. But yeah, that's me. New Dempagumi.inc album, GOGO Dempa. You made me Nemu best girl. Peace.